goes. Sorry everybody for the delay here. I want to get my laptop working so I can read comments. This is BDSM Basics. I am MistressXmas, also known as Megan. With me is Charles, the Ruthless, and I almost have the scope running here. I can't tell how many people are here yet. Sorry for the delay. Oh, wow, people. Okay. Mute. All right, so we decided we're just going to do like a simple Q&A today because it's like easier for me, and I don't have to talk as long. I can make you guys talk instead, which is good because I have still not feeling my best. But anyways, thanks for coming, and feel free to invite followers if you think this might be fun and useful. As well as, let's see here, nobody's talking. How come nobody's talking? Somebody say something so I know this is working.
There's hearts.
I don't see anything. It says there's 31 people, but there's nobody talking. Patty, say something. This doesn't work. I'm going to have to try again. What a drag.
Questions. We have answers.
Well, we don't have anything unless I can figure out how to make this work. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have chat, finally. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. I've been in the BDSM lifestyle for just over 25 years. I started as a submissive and learned to become a dom, and enjoy it immensely. I love being a sub and a dom. I don't sub as often as I would like, though I'm working to change that. Charles is obviously a dom, never subs. Why don't you say something like how long you've been doing this, and if you have questions, start going here and I'll...
I've been doing this since probably, well, I know since at least 1975. And before that, I was involved in the life, but I had no idea what the life was because I was far too young and, well, sort of, and there really wasn't any place to play. I'm back from the Stone Ages when we didn't have S&M shops or clubs or places to buy toys, so we had to make everything ourselves and be very, very creative.
Charles is my dom. Yes, he is. He's my only dom right now, currently. I think I've only had like 3 doms total since starting this. Occasionally I'll let somebody I really, really know. Occasionally I will let somebody play with me, but normally it's only Charles. This thing keeps locking up. This is not good. See if it gets any better now. Well, I'm sorry for the technical glitches here.
That's completely locked. Anyway, I had come up with a few ideas for things, one of which was, since you sort of saw how to make a flogger, and you know a little something about riding crops, you're probably going to want to go out and play somewhere. And I usually tell people you're going to need a gear bag. Something that's going to be sturdy, not too flashy. Some of the things I recommend that you put in it, say first aid kit. Maybe not for yourself or your play partner, but somebody next to you might end up getting this, stub their toe or scrape their knees. Always nice to have a few things and some extra gloves, a blanket, so whoever you're playing with has got something to wrap up in or lay on, because in a lot of these clubs we go to, they are not the cleanest places in the world. And it's really nice to have something that you can put somebody on that hasn't been used before.
Yeah. As far as I guess the basics, since I'm not seeing any chat, I don't know what's going on. It's not working. I'm seeing hearts and I see people changing, but I don't see anybody talking. I guess we could just sort of cover the basics of like how you find a partner, where to play, and maybe how to play a little bit. As far as trying to find partners, I would highly recommend that you go onto a website called fetlife.com and make an account. You should be able to type in your zip code and you'll be able to find lots of different events that are in your area, and a great way to meet people are to go to the munches. The munches are typically, the ones I like to go to are held in restaurants, usually in like the back room or something, and they're nice because you get to meet like-minded people. You get to know them before you do anything, of course, which for me is really important. And it's just a great way to meet people.
There are regionally local groups in Northern California. The San Francisco Bay Area is probably Janus, which would be soj.org. There's a couple of South Bay groups. I think there's one in LA. On the East Coast, I know there's one in the DC area. I'm not sure if it's up in the New York area. It's called Black Rose. They will usually have a listing of affiliated clubs or organizations that you can use, that they can recommend or you can go to. I know Black Rose and Janus both have parties, events, munches, classes. It's nice meeting somebody not at a dungeon. In dungeons, you have certain protocols. A lot of people will posture. It's nice to get to meet them outside of a dungeon in real clothes, where it's relaxed and you aren't playing. Then you can find out whether or not you want to deal with them or not. Somebody you might think is a perfect match may not. Be careful. This goes for both DOMs and subs. You want to make sure whoever you're playing with is somebody you can trust. When you start playing, in a scene, if you're a Dom, you might want to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it before you start. Think about what your limitations are, what you can and can't do. You may see people around, especially if you're new, who are doing a lot of things that are real flashy and very over the top. Don't fall in a trap of going, oh look, somebody else is doing it, I can do it too. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can really get into trouble fast. It's like with us doing fire play and temporary piercings, things like this, electric play. We've both been doing this a long, long time. There are a lot of things I do as second nature. I just do them because it's muscle memory. I don't even think about doing it anymore. But for somebody who's new, this might be something that they should stop and think about. I did a class in one of the local clubs down in Central Valley. And after the class, there was a party. And we went to the party, and I was working on somebody at the party. And I noticed that the room was full of all the DOMs and some of the subs from the class and from this group. And they were sitting on a futon and standing there, and they had little notebooks, and they're taking notes of how I was flogging somebody. And it was, the location was fairly warm, so I'm sitting there with a bottle of water in one hand and a flogger in the other. And I looked over, and they're writing down, okay, left shoulder, right shoulder, drinks from the water bottle, and then he hits him on the right shoulder again. And it's like, wait a minute. They're trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing to run this scene. Do whatever you want to do. I mean, within your limitations, do what you're going to do. Don't think that there has to be a pattern or any kind of...
Hi, Hillary. I finally got chat working.
Don't have to think that this is you have X, Y, or Z you have to do. Change it around a little bit. If you're new, don't start off playing really heavy, really hard, fast. Warm the person up. Think of it as foreplay. You know, you wouldn't just grab somebody, throw them down, and jump on them. You're going to play with them a little bit. Tease them. Make them want to go to that next step. Make them want more. Go from there. Then you start increasing what you're going to do. Some things work better in progression than others. One thing I found is if I'm going to do knife play, I'll do knife play probably before I start flogging somebody.
Sorry.
One thing I found is that's for that reason is because I'll usually wash a person's back down or the area I'm going to work on with alcohol. Excuse me, I've got a slight catch of bronchitis. Well, washing somebody's back down with alcohol after you just got done doing a heavy flogging scene with them is really going to hurt. Because it's all those little abrasions and scrapes from the flogger. And floggers, depending on the material, can scrape and cause skin abrasions. But it's really going to wake them up. And that can really kill a scene. So, do the alcohol first, do some edge play, then flog them. It just works better that way.
I can finally read the comments. They're really delayed because I'm having to go through the periscope.tv, but at least I can finally answer some questions finally. I do apologize. I thought I had this working, but I don't know why. But anyways, this is not our first scope. We have many scopes. You can find all of them on catch.me or on my YouTube channel. They should all be there. So.
Questions?
Yeah, anybody got questions would be great. Her needle play was awesome. Yeah, I do love needle play. I must admit, I am a sucker for the artistic side of needle play. Are we partners? Well, no, he is my dom. I'm a sub. We are friends, but we are not partners. I'm married to another woman. Do you have vanilla sex as well? Yes and no. What kind of sex do you have?
Oh, I don't know. Depends. Rocky Road, you know, little marshmallow sauce, some chocolate, crushed nuts, cherries, you know, whatever. I mean, one scene that I've done that's fun if you want to be creative and you don't have to do this with toys.
Oh, I missed that. Shoot.
Take your play partner out to some thrift store. Buy some clothes for them. Wash the stuff very well. If you're using white, it tends to infer a certain degree of innocence. Wash it really heavily with bleach. What you want to do is you want to burn the fabric with the bleach so it gets brittle.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me interrupt here. I am a dom. I'm also a sub, so I am a switch. Primarily, I'm a dom, though. Charles here is also a dom, and he is only a dom. We both play together, and we play with other people as well. So hopefully that sort of covers the question. What was the red whip from the scope where you had, oh, I don't know. He has so many whips. He has more than the stores have.
Was that a whip or a riding crop?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you describe some? Shoot, it disappeared. You're going to have to ask that question again.
Well, what I'll do is I'll have them dress up in this clothing. I make sure they take a change of clothes with them for the club. And I'll set a scene where I'll make them do something that would make me angry at them. And then I'll tear their clothes off of them.
Oh, the differences between private and public play. Well, I do both. Private play was primarily when I was doing pro work. That was done privately for the most part. Most of my public play are usually events that we go to either through the Society of Janus or there's a zillion other events that occur here in the Bay Area on a pretty regular basis. We also have clubs here that are open every night that you can go to that have dungeons that you can go in and use, and we play there as often as we can as well. So for public play is great. They usually have dungeon monitors, which is nice, so you don't have to worry about the safety issues related to being in somebody else's house not knowing anything. Private play, you really need to be careful. You really need to know who you're playing with, and really, if you're going to play privately, make sure that you arrange. And this goes for both the sub and the dom. Arrange a friend to contact you by text, by voice, every half hour to an hour to make sure that things are safe. Until you get to know somebody really well, I would always keep safety mechanisms in place for when you play privately. But publicly, usually you're good to go because they almost always have dungeon monitors and really
Other people around.
you have lots of people around.
I had one private play session I had with somebody. The person snapped on me and came at me with a knife. Yeah, it's playing, even as a dom, you have to be careful. There are some people out there that don't have both oars in the water.
How do you start lightly? Well, I don't know. Anytime you're introducing BDSM with a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I would suggest that you do it in jest and in fun until you understand whether or not they're going to appreciate the idea of a spanking, maybe. And spankings are always a good start because they can always be done in fun. So I would start there because that will give you a really good feel right away whether or not you can get away with turning a spanking into something fun, sensual, enjoyable, and maybe a little painful. Let's see here.
As far as if you're doing a scene in your starting light, don't start off as gently as you can, or as gentle as you both are comfortable with. People's levels vary greatly. I've had people tell me, "Oh, I'm a hard time heavy player. You can work on me as hard as you want." In reality, outside of the circle that they were in, they may have been a heavy player. In the circle that we were in or are in, they may not. They might be fairly lightweight. A lot of this is in context of what you're used to, what you know. I've had people I've played with who were brand new into the scene, who were were willing to go for incredible amounts of force. You could really work on them hard. After the scene, I found out that the person had been involved with martial arts almost their entire life. They had been in Aikido and Taekwondo. So they were used to physical contact. A lot of people aren't. keep this in mind as far as how you start things.
Yeah, I agree. Pain cancels out pain for some. That is true. Some people can eat pain. For me, weird as this sounds, when I was abused as a child, I sort of learned to turn pain inward and became more calm and quiet, which is obviously not a great thing as a child to learn, but it has served me really well as an adult, because I can get into that subspace kind of zone much easier, and I guess I can maybe take a little bit more than some people pain-wise. Is this the Disney Periscope? Now, I don't think Walt would approve, though you never know. Walt might have been into bondage.
Oh, pain tolerance, by the way, can increase. What you can start off with being, which would be excruciating at one point, and that can be very light, like tickling. Can work up. It just depends on what the person is used to and what they've experienced in the past.
Yeah, I agree. Pain tolerance just varies all over the place for everybody and from day to day. One day something may be awful, and the next day you can barely tell. So I think the more you play, the more you get used to certain sensations, and you adjust easier. Oh, I missed a question. Can you describe what your first toy set should include? Go for it. I'm going to go grab my other glasses. I can barely read.
A flogger. I recommend deerskin if you can find it, or some other really lightweight, soft leather. A riding crop, maybe a paddle. As far as restraints go, use leather wrist restraints or ankle restraints. Do not use handcuffs. You can damage a person's wrists very easily with them. When you're putting cuffs on somebody or wrist restraints on somebody, excuse me, make sure they're snug but not really tight. I mean, like cutting off blood flow. Check their wrists and ankles to make sure that they still have feeling, they haven't gone numb.
I'm blind as a bat, sorry.
A first aid kit in your, whatever you're doing. I carry paramedic scissors with me, and I try to get the brightest color handle I can. Fluorescent yellow, orange, red, something that really stands out in dark. If you're at a club or you're playing and the room is dark and you need to get those scissors quick to cut somebody loose from something or cut somebody free.
Hey, Mojo.
Looking for a pair of black-handled scissors on a floor can be really a pain in the butt. So go for the bright-colored ones.
I sort of agree with the, if for your first little kit of stuff, keep it simple, and you probably want to keep as much safety stuff with you as well as your toys. Maybe a little first aid kit, a pair of scissors to cut rope, and maybe a flogger, a riding crop, and a paddle. You really don't need much more than that to start. And you can have great fun with just those 3 toys.
Yeah. For paddles, I mean, you can, I've used spatulas. I go to the dollar store and get the cup-type spatula. If the handle breaks, that's fine. Toss it away and get a new one. I mean, they're only $1. I had a friend who used to use frying pans from the dollar store. They had great fun with that. You don't have to spend a lot of money on equipment.
Or you can make your own. Charles is great at making stuff.
I mean, I've made floggers from leather, fabric, paracord. I made one flogger out of polar fleece, and I called that my Rasta flogger because once you cut the polar fleece to width that you wanted for the veins of the flogger, it coiled up and looked like a bunch of dreadlocks. It had absolutely no impact whatever. It was like whipping somebody with a long bunch of peacock feathers. You'd work yourself to death and they wouldn't feel a thing.
People can have sex the normal way, and we do have sex the normal way. It's just way more fun to have sex the way we're having it. So.
Yeah.
Are you guys as horny as you were in your 20s? No, I'm actually hornier. Age does provide some things.
Any other questions?
They're sort of going here. They're talking to themselves quite a bit, which is good too.
Yeah. Another thing I always make sure I have in my gear bag, and I keep one in my car, is a flashlight.
Where are the stuffed animals? They're always handy.
We'll sit here and watch movies, and I tie up animals, or I braid floggers. Hello, Mojo.
Just straight dickin', what? Weird. Okay. 50 Shades, give an opinion on it, please. Oh my God. Okay, the movie was absolutely awful and contained absolutely nothing to do with real BDSM lifestyle. The books were a little bit better, but come on, really, it's like a love story with some porn. I mean, the actual amount of BDSM was trivial, mostly wrong, and certainly things like aftercare and were certainly not provided. So 50 Shades, while it seems to have stimulated a great deal of conversation, really has provided zero actual information for people. But it's good that people are asking, so that's nice.
On an interview with the woman who wrote the book, she was asked about the BDSM side of it, and she admitted she knew absolutely nothing, had never been in the scene, and just kind of made up what she had in there from stuff that she had seen through other literature.
Talk about aftercare. How about aftercare? We don't ever talk about aftercare very often.
That's when you get done with playing with your sub. What are they going to need when they get done? To come down. Generally, I have a blanket or someplace set up that they can set them, lay them, sit them, and wrap them up and let them cool down. You're going to need to keep them warm. Takes a lot of energy being a sub, takes a lot of energy being a dom too. Let them cool down. Get them some water. Get them something to drink. Get them some sort of snack or treat. I mean, cookies, candy bar, crackers, chips, cup of coffee, a soda. Let them get their energy level back. Let them get their brains put back together.
Yeah, I think also as part of the aftercare for a lot of subs tend to go into this zone.
Yeah.
Of endorphins that really can make you very calm. In fact, I mean, I've had subs literally. I've had at least more than one sub pass out.
Yes.
from being very into it. So obviously, aftercare is important, and when I mean pass out, they're really obviously just very relaxed. I don't mean like, oh, quick, call 911. So it's something that does happen pretty regularly in the community as far as I think people that play often get there better than maybe new people. But I think everybody can achieve that endorphin high. But it does take some time afterwards to come out of it and get your energy back and
get your brain functioning again.
Exactly.
I use sterling silver claws.
Is there physical aftercare too?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're there with the person. You don't just sit them in a chair, wrap a blanket around them, and walk away. You stay there with them. You talk to them. You hold them. Sometimes, depending on where you're at, you can lay down next to them, caress them, let them know that they're still there. I knew somebody in a month said the only time she ever got cuddled after sex is when she was in the BDSM world, and she'd been married twice. You make sure whoever you're playing with is functioning mentally as well as physically again.
They look old. Well, that's because we are old, but old people are allowed to have just as much fun as you, so maybe more.
I've seen people come in who are young, who thought they knew what they were doing, and they didn't. And they made a horrible disaster of what they were trying to do. Age has its advantages, especially if you've been into it as long as we have. I mean, we know what we're doing. We know how people are going to react. If there starts to be a problem, I can...
oops, sorry, not old.
I can usually spot or recognize some of the telltale precursor signs and either slow it down, stop it, or try to mitigate it before it actually gets out of hand.
Oh dear, who is this person? They should probably go. If they speak again, and I will delete you. BDSM is not rape, not even close. BDSM is completely consensual. And in fact, the submissive is in control of the session. And if they aren't, then you're not playing with the right dom.
Yeah, that's where the negotiations come in. Your sub or bottom will set the parameters of what you're going to do, how far it's going to go, and what's going to happen.
How old were you when you got into the lifestyle?
Oh, God. 19 maybe, 20.
I was like in my 30s, so...
That's when I was actually started doing parties. I've been in the lifestyle my entire life. I braided my first whip at like 12 or 13. I made my first set of wrist cuffs or shackles when I was probably about 9 or 10. I had a space under the house that I turned into a dungeon when I was like in 5th grade, 4th grade. So for me, this has been something I have done my entire life.
Yeah, there are fake doms out there. There are guys that, I don't know if it's the 50 Shades thing or whatever, but I mean, they've been there from day one as far as I've known, so it's probably not related to 50 Shades. But there are guys that they go buy a few toys and they think they're a dom and they have no training, no skills, and are really just out to either, I don't know if it's to beat somebody or get laid or whatever, but they're really in it for all the wrong reasons. And believe it or not, there are women that are in this for all the wrong reasons too. There are a number of pro-doms that started as escorts and thought that they could just buy some toys and make a whole hell of a lot more money, and they also don't have real skills or really care about what they're doing other than the money. And I have personally seen this, having worked in the business for 3 years a long time ago, but I have other pro-dom friends that certainly will agree with that statement, that they've seen the same thing happen. So I think finding a dom with skills is great, and that's what you want to look for, is somebody that is willing to spend the time to learn how to do what they're doing. For example, I love fire electricity needles, those kinds of things. They're a little odd, they're very specialized, and I spend hundreds of hours learning and training even before working on people to make sure that what I do is safe, fun, And so those are the kind of people you want to find. This is entertaining. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
If it's not, you can try to find another room.
As far as skill sets go, some of the sets like single tails.
How often are women doms? I don't know. I would say it's seems pretty equal to me. When I go to the clubs, there really are more men doms than there are females, but there are quite a few women doms out there.
Yeah.
And I work on both men and women, so I work on pretty much anybody. I'm not particular. My only thing is I really like to know who I'm playing with, at least as far as regular sessions. When it comes to doing demonstrations, which we do at events, and when we're in public, we'll often just set up a little thing so people can come in and experience what it's like to be flogged, for example. But we'll do that in a very light manner, something that's safe, sane, that they're not ever could possibly get hurt, and hopefully it makes it enjoyable enough that then they can go home and give it a try on their own.
For demos, I will sometimes use fur floggers, and because of fur traps a lot of air between them.
Shoot, I missed a good question. Ask it again, please.
In its body.
Do I sing in the church choir too?
It makes a lot of noise, but it's got no impact. So you can wail away on somebody with a fur flogger and make a lot of noise, and it sounds like you're just beating the living daylights out of them, and nothing's going on.
Do you have sex while playing? Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
It depends on the person and how I'm feeling. I'm more apt to have sex in private play than I am in public play. Though in public play, I am more than willing to stimulate a submissive, and maybe they will orgasm, maybe they won't. That's part of the fun too, is edging. But what about you?
Depends. Normally when I'm
I
playing,
missed it again. It figures.
a lot of the people I'll play with are demos, or they were people I was not involved with physically or emotionally. I wouldn't have sex with them just to have sex. There are too many lovely STDs floating around out there, and too many people have STDs, that unless you really, really know the person, you're taking a big risk.
Please ask your question again. Do you find that people switch from dom to sub over time, or vice versa? Sure, some people do.
Yeah.
I rarely see a dom switch to a sub, though subs seem to regularly switch to dom or be like me, which I like doing both. So I don't know. God, do you know any doms that have become subs?
Not offhand.
Yeah, I can't think
I've
of
known-
one offhand, but there's lots of subs that become doms.
I've known some switches that are dom oriented.
Well, like me, I'm more dom than I am sub, but I love subbing. So hopefully we finally answered the question. You're in the right place to learn. Are you guys married?
No.
No, he's just my dom. We both play with other people, and I am married to another female. I've been married for, I don't know, we've been together for 25 years. And I've been with Charles for 20 some odd years.
20.
So it's been a long time. It's funny, we started going to the munches again lately, and I'm running into people that I met 20, 25 years ago. And so people don't seem to leave the lifestyle. Once you're in, you seem to be in forever.
Yeah.
Is it me or is he wearing a bib overall? No, he's wearing a black shirt.
Black shirt.
Your wife doesn't mind. Actually, she doesn't seem to really care.
She puts up with me.
She knows. She knows what's going on. It's pretty clear. Obviously, we're like periscoping and all over the frigging internet. So we've done a zillion different documentaries and films and TV shows and events. And I worked as a dungeon master. So it would be really hard for a spouse to not know and understand with all that going on.
Especially over the length of time we've been.
Yeah, I know exactly. Does she get into it? No, she absolutely hates it. She doesn't get it at all. She often claims that she's going to beat me with a rake in humor, but I have yet to find the rake that she can beat me with. So.
Any questions for me?
I'm sure his wife could give a shit. Okay.
I don't have a wife.
He's not married.
I'm single.
Have you ever been to Naughty in New Orleans?
No.
No. We are Bay Area only, and
Well, Northern California.
Northern California, yeah, for the most part. So, and there is a ton of stuff in the Bay Area. I mean, you can pretty much go to 5 events every day.
Munches.
Whether they're munches, events, classes, parties, you name it. The Society of Janus calendar has really almost a minimum of 5 things every day going on. So it's not hard to find things to do here.
And the week before, say, Halloween or Folsom Street or Dory Alley or any of the big events, it's insane. You've got parties everywhere.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
You've got parties everywhere. You've got events everywhere.
Why are they called munches?
It's not a lunch. It's not a dinner. They're usually held at coffee shops, restaurants. Some of them are held in bars. And it's just a place to meet and hang out and talk in a non-dungeon environment. Usually they specify you show up very vanilla because it's a place like a Denny's or a coffee shop like that or a restaurant like that. And they want it to be not freak out the poor vanilla folks that are coming in with their kids. And you just sit around and you talk and you talk about life, the game, the scene, what you're up to, what you're doing, where you went on vacation, your latest toys, what party you're going to go to, and where's the best place to buy rope.
Yeah, it's actually sort of funny that recently, because we started going again, everybody is on FetLife. Everybody at every munch. It seems like everybody goes around the room and they announce what their screen name is so that you can go check profiles afterwards, which is really sort of fun that everybody is on FetLife. So you should have no problems finding other like-minded people in your area.
FetLife is also international. I mean, you can find groups all over the world. From what I understand.
Love the candor. Well, we try to be as honest and open as possible. We're sort of a little old to be hiding and lying at this point. Besides, it's all just really good fun.
Yeah.
People need to understand that this is all just good fun. Can you recommend good material, Flogger, good Flogger material?
Good Flogger material is deerskin. If not, it can be a little hard to get. Garment weight cowhide, and you can get that in fabric shops. Or maybe even upholstery stores.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The heavier the leather, the heavier the impact. You want something that's going to be soft and light. I've actually seen some floggers done. It was called orthopedic pig. And the stuff's like getting flogged with satin or silk. You can use fabrics. You can use a terry cloth like a towel. roll around a broomstick handle and cut it so you get veins. You'll get a lot of lint, but it works. Canvas, pleather or nalgahide. I use paracord. I use a lot of paracord. I get it in a myriad color patterns. It's relatively cheap. It's easy to use, and I can spin off 3 or 4 floggers a weekend.
Someone is asking about the swinger lifestyle, if it overlaps with the BDSM community. I would generally say no, but it does overlap to a certain degree. Some of the clubs that we go to, like Power Exchange, isn't actually a sex club. So therefore, when you go to the Power Exchange, and there are multiple Power Exchanges now, there's one in LA and one in Las Vegas as well, all owned and run by Michael Powers. And it's a great place to go. You will find a lot of people coming in that are the swinger kind, and they want to have sex in their little private rooms, and or in the public rooms as well. And then they also have a dungeon area for people like Charles and myself, which we mostly hang out in. And so we sort of cross in that regard, but generally speaking, I would say that the lifestyles are very different. How do you have fun at home since your wife doesn't partake? Well, typically I don't play here at home. So that's how. I will play privately, but that will either be in someone else's home or often a hotel room. Most of my play, though, is public, really. I would say that 90% is public. What about you?
Now it's almost all public. I've had stalkers in the past. I'm really, really leery about letting people anywhere near where I live. I've DM'd a few parties, and I happen to say, oh, by the way, where are you from? And the person actually sort of gave me the number of the street. They gave me the street and the location they lived in. It turned out it was a quarter of a block from my house. That's way too much information to be handing out to people. You never know who you're going to run into. I'll tell them, I live in X city. I live in Oakland. I live in Berkeley, yes?
So somebody's asking about age groups. There are all age groups in this community. Typically, though, when we've gone to the Munches lately, I've noticed that the age seems to be, I would say, 30s to 40s more than anything. And there are people my age there, because I've run into, like I say, people that I met 20, 25 years ago. There are kids coming in and doing it too, so it really does cover everybody.
In this area, there are Munches which are specifically geared towards under 30. Being over 30, I don't go to them. I don't know how popular or how full they are.
Yeah, they do have specific Munches for specific categories of people, which is interesting. So
you'll have the age play people, the pony play, people who are younger. They have some Munches which are sub only.
Are you open with your lifestyle to your family and friends?
Friends, yes. Family, not so much. My folks, or my mom, is quite a bit older. She doesn't really need to know what I'm doing in the bedroom.
Oh, come on, Mom.
My mom, yeah. Well, I think let's put it this way. Most of my family, I'm pretty sure, has a fair idea of what I'm doing. My mom's asked me about a couple of events that we've done, and whether or not I had done them yet, and I hadn't, or where I was going to them. And having your mom ask you if you're going to
You're talking about the exotic erotic
right,
ball.
having your mom ask you if you're going to the exotic erotic ball over dinner, and trying not to choke on a drink while she's asking you, are you going to the sex party or have you gone to the sex party this weekend? And like, no, Mom, I have no idea what you're talking about. That can be a little hard.
I'm pretty open with my friends, my family. Some of my family knows, some doesn't. I think you do what's appropriate,
Work.
Is this the North Pole? Yes.
Work. Some of the people know what I'm into. Some of the people don't know what I'm into. Where I work, there's probably 1,400 people.
Your mom never found out about your dungeon.
No, it was under the house. You had to go through an access hatch through the basement into the space under the house.
The silly part is he actually does have an entire dungeon full of equipment, which is what we used when we were doing the exotic erotic balls.
Oh yeah.
We would have a rather large booth, and he would fill it with crosses, tables, horses, you name it. He has everything you could think of for dungeon equipment, and he makes it all himself. So he's truly creepy.
Whenever I make to be industrial or commercial grade. I've been to clubs that have crosses in there that if a 5-year-old were to jump on them, they would fall over and break. I don't want anything that I have to worry about to have fail while I'm using it. People get hurt that way.
Your opinion on financial doms. I assume you're talking about pro doms. Well, I've sort of given my opinion about pro doms earlier, which was if they started as an escort and they're in it for more money than they would have made as an escort, then I don't like them. If they're in it because they really like the lifestyle and they're a skills-oriented kind of dom, then that's really what you want. So that's the kind of person you want to find.
When I was doing demos, I would get women coming in who would say, I've got a flogger. You could obviously tell it was something that had been bought at a sex shop. It was really cheap, really bad. And if you, how do you flog somebody? You go to show them, and in 5 minutes they go, okay, I understand how to do this. And they run off, and they've got $400 worth of fetish wear on. They've got 8-inch or 10-inch spike heels. They can barely walk, and they pronounce they are now a dominatrix. No, what they are, a stand-and mop. They haven't got a clue of what they're doing. They're going to hurt people. There have been cases where people that they've played with, there's one back east, the guy had a heart attack and died. She freaked out, took him down, drug him out, and dumped him on the side of the road because she didn't want people to know that what she was doing, because she was doing it as an escort or for money.
So somebody asked how I got my name, MistressXmas. I did not pick this name. This name was given to me by doms at Power Exchange a long time ago. It was because I play with the violet wand and discovered that metallic objects such as Christmas ornaments, tinsel, icicles, all work wonderfully with the violet wand, and you can light up a person in amazing ways. So one day I was playing on one of my subs, and I believe it was William said, "Oh my God, MistressXmas with more ornaments." And I think it stuck. Everybody just started calling me MistressXmas, and rather than, I don't know, picking a name for myself, I just let it stick.
That's the way a lot of names, you get a lot of your names, is somebody calls you something and it just sticks, whether you like it or not.
Financial subservice. Oh, weird.
Yeah, I mean, people have been rent-a-subs.
Oh.
Yeah, there are rent-a-subs. That can be a real gray area. That can also verge on the edge of prostitution too.
My name is Dragon Dildo. Yeah, I'm sure it is, Amanda. No, not rent-a-sub. Many people are just in it for the money, a type of pro-dom, but what's Charles' name? Charles.
Oh, the Ruthless, duh.
The Ruthless. Yes, it's in the title. So you do it for fun, not money. Yes, that is correct.
Now.
Yeah. I only did pro work for 3 years. It was not full time, and it really is work.
Yeah, it is.
She's asking about financial DOMs. I guess I still do not understand this financial DOM thing.
The way you play changes greatly if you're running a DOM.
Financial DOMs demand money for any attention. I don't know. I personally, I think doing this for fun is way better than doing it for financial gain of any kind.
Yeah, if you're going to do it...
When you, believe it or not, you work professionally, for example, there used to be, I don't even know if it still exists, it was called Fantasy Makers, and it was pro DOMs. You could call up and hire a DOM. The thing is you're basically having to go work on people you don't know with fetishes that you may or may not like. And while we love what we do, we love the BDSM lifestyle, sometimes, if somebody has a foot fetish and you're not into foot fetishes, well, that's just tough for you. You're a professional. You have to do your job. So that's sort of the way I feel about it.
Yeah, that and the attention you have to pay to the client is one that you're not going to get a lot as a top or a dom. You're not going to get a lot of enjoyment because everything you have to do is focusing on that person to get them to the end where they want to be, which is usually going into subspace and Never Land. So you're not going to be able to relax and enjoy you may not be able to relax and enjoy what you're doing because it's all about the person you're working on. You're focusing on them. You need to know what they like. And like Megan said, you're going to get people you may not want to deal with, you may not like, you may not physically want to deal with. And, because you're being paid to do it, you've got to do what they're looking for to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah. Oh my God, we've been going for an hour.
Yeah.
So how are we doing here? We still have 70 people in this room. I am completely surprised and shocked that people are lasting this long. This is wonderful. Well, we can keep going for a little bit more. As long as my voice is not completely gone, I'm willing to keep going for a little bit. I do appreciate everybody being here. I like the hearts. This is really good. For some reason, I have a bizarre hearts to follower ratio. I think I end up with all the pervs following me, but then they don't like me.
Perv?
How do you begin an evening? Ooh, I missed it. It disappeared. Could you ask the question again? Brief recap, please. Well, a recap is hard when you're talking about questions and answers, but we're really just sort of talking about the basics of the bondage, discipline, sadomasochistic lifestyle. Doesn't seem to be the ones. How do you begin? So you begin to get turned on.
How do I begin to get somebody turned on?
Yeah, I think that depends on the person.
Yeah,
everybody gets off on different things, and if you're really talking about real sadism and masochism, what kind of pain turns you on can vary dramatically. Though most sadists and masochists just are willing to dish it out as much as they can.
Or
take as much as they can. There are some sadists and masochists that you talk about negotiations, and the negotiations are there are no negotiations and there are no limits.
And there are no safe words.
And there are no safe words. So,
You know?
so it can be really, really extreme with some people, which is, I would suggest that avoiding that kind of situation, and unless you, I don't know, maybe a serial killer or...
How to get somebody turned on, it depends on the person. You can use voice work. If you want to go into role playing, you step them in to the space you want them to be at. You can compliment them or you can cuss them out. I had one person who was in humiliation and cleaning, and I used to use them to come over and clean my house, and I would cuss them out and flog them. That was their thing. They would get off on it. You tell them that they were a useless sack of shit and they weren't worth for anything, and they did it wrong, and they would shudder as if somebody had used a vibrator on them. That's what they were into. It depends on the person you're playing with.
Yeah, somebody asked how you would begin an evening, and for me, this is so subjective. For me, I know my subs really well, so it's a little easier. I know what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, and
yeah.
I like to sort of ride a wave of highs and lows for sensation and edging, but it's so individualized. I don't think you can just say, well, you start with a good spanking and then move up to the flogging and then you electrocute them. So I don't think there's any formula that you can apply as a general rule.
That's where negotiations come in.
And what defines being a Dom? I'd like to hear your take on that. How do you know you're a Dom and what defines?
God. That has changed over many, many years. When I started, it was very old.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming.
Old leather. Everything was very formal. Your subs had to address you in specific way, manners. They had to stand in ways. It evolved to where it's much more casual. You'll know whether or not you're a Dom or not, or a switch, is what side of the flogger you want to be on, or you're on. It's what's your personality? What are you comfortable with? Are you willing to have somebody order you about, take control of you? Do you want to give up that control? Do you want to be somebody who is in control? It varies. Do you want to switch? And if you're a switch, then you can go back and forth.
Yeah, I think if you're a Dom, you probably pretty much know it.
Yeah.
You know, you're either a person that wants control or you're not. For me, I love playing both ways. Though when I'm a sub, I still try to control the session as much as possible.
She can be a brat or tries to be.
I really try to be a brat as much as possible because the rewards are endless when you're a brat.
It's more discipline.
Yes, exactly.
Same thing with Sam's.
But I think most people can figure out if they have that Dom in them or not. Do you consider yourselves part of the leather community now? Or more general BDSM? Well, personally, the whole leather thing, when I first came into this BDSM thing, I thought the whole leather thing was really sort of costumey and goofy. And so, because my friend who taught me, she was pro, she would wear all the garb, and it was sort of laughable at the time for me. And so I just purposely did the opposite of everybody else. I always wore white. And I completely played the opposite side because I just sort of thought it was humorous. But now I don't know. I think the whole leather thing is fine, but it's not for me. And I think it varies dramatically. I see people that are into the whole costume dom thing and the costume sub thing. And then there are others it's really what you're doing more than what you're wearing.
I never got into the leather because leather is hot. It can be pretty expensive, and you have to have it dry cleaned. And if you're doing, like when we were doing demos, at least one night a week, if not 2 or 3. That's a lot of leather you're going to have to run into dry cleaners every week. It gets pricey. I never got into the whole costume thing also. I do wear a leather vest.
Leather. Yeah, I know doms that are absolutely the best, wonderful, great doms, and they are into the whole leather thing, and they look great. Some of them look really good. So I don't. To me, it's not as goofy as it once was. I can get why some people like it and why some people do. But it's just not my preference.
I mean, I have friends who have leather clothing and leather bras, for instance, and they love the things. They think they're better than sex.
I think it's just another fetish or another part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, whatever turns you on, it's great. That's really what counts. Oh, I missed it. I missed a question. Well, I think we're going to
wrap it up
here. We've gone more than an hour, which is extremely long. So I appreciate everybody coming by. If you're not following us, follow me, please. That would be really nice. And we try to do this regularly every Saturday around 2 in the afternoon, whether it be a demo or something useful, hopefully, and helpful and educational. All of these replays can be found on catch.me /MistressXmas, XMAS. And you can also just Google MistressXmas, one word, and I come up like a bunch of times. So you would be able to find either the YouTube channel or Catch. So you should be able to find, I think we've done 11 of these now, or somewhere around that many. So thank you all, and we're going to go ahead and cut it off, I guess. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.